Jordie Barrett squares up chest to chest with Scott Barrett in the middle of the All Blacks changing room, fists clenched, veins popping, the air thick enough to choke on. Scott shoves him hard, Jordie shoves back harder, teammates freeze, half-dressed mouths open, then Jordie rips Scott's training jersey clean off his back and the room explodes into chaos, or so you thought, because the very next second both brothers crash into the tightest hug you'll ever see, heads buried in each other's shoulders, laughing like lunatics while the rest of the squad realizes they've just been had again. Welcome to the undeniable bond between Jordie and Scott Barrett, two men who would burn the world down for each other and still find time to take the absolute piss out of one another. If that moment just grabbed you, smash that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because All Sports Updates is about to take you inside the most unbreakable brotherhood in world rugby. Let's dive in. These two have been at each other's throats since they were kids, growing up on a dairy farm in Taranaki, New Zealand, where the only law was survival of the fittest. Scott, the oldest by 4 years, was built like a brick shed. Even at 10 years old, Jordie, skinny, long-limbed, and fearless, would still charge straight at him, whether it was for the last slice of pavlova or the remote control. Their mother Bevan once said the house sounded like a war zone every single day, plates rattling, windows shaking, the neighbors calling to check if everything was okay. But here's the thing, every single fight ended the exact same way. One of them would start laughing, couldn't help it, and the other would crack seconds later, arms around each other, promising never to fight again, until 5 minutes later, when it all kicked off once more. That chaos forged something deeper than blood. It forged trust, the kind that lets you know no matter how hard you hit the other guy, he'll still have your back when the world comes for you, and the rugby world has come for both of them hard. Fast forward to 2018, Scott is already an established all-black lock, a wrecking ball in the second row, when Jordie bursts onto the scene as this flashy, exciting center who steals headlines with his offloads and ridiculous sidesteps. Suddenly the media pits them against each other, oldest versus youngest, Barrett versus Barrett. Who's the real star of the family? Talkback radio lights up, newspapers run headlines about sibling rivalry, and fans pick sides like it's a civil war. But every single time the brothers get asked about it, they just look at each other and smirk. Scott will say Jordie's soft as butter. Jordie fires back that Scott's turning into a grumpy old man before 30, and then they both laugh, because the truth is neither of them gives a damn what anyone else thinks. They only care what the guy standing next to them thinks, and that guy will always tell him the truth even when it stings. Take the 2022 test against Ireland in Wellington. Scott has one of those nightmare games, loses lineouts, gives away penalties, gets absolutely roasted online afterwards. Jordie scores 2 tries, steals the show, and every reporter wants the juicy quote, the one where the younger brother buries the older one. Instead, Jordie grabs the microphone, looks straight down the lens, and says, "My big brother is the toughest man I've ever met. Tonight wasn't his night, but he'll be back because he always is, and anyone wants to come at him, they'll have to go through me first." The room goes dead quiet. Then Scott, watching from the back, just nods once. That's all he needs. No speeches, no drama, just the knowledge that Jordie's got him exactly like he's always had. Jordie. People forget Jordie was only 19 when he first got called into the All Blacks camp. Scott pulled him aside on day one and told him straight, "If you stuff up in here, I'm not saving you. You earn your spot like everyone else. No special treatment because you're my brother." Harsh, right? Maybe, but Jordie needed to hear it, because the moment he believed he belonged only because of his last name, he was finished. Scott knew that better than anyone. He'd walked the same road. He wasn't going to let his little brother trip on the same traps, so he pushed him, ridiculed him, tackled him harder than anyone else in training, until Jordie hated him some days and thanked him every other day. That's love in the Barrett household. Tough, ugly, relentless love. Last year, in the lead-up to the World Cup, Jordie dislocated his knee in a club game in Japan. Doctors said 6 to 9 months out. He'd missed the whole tournament. Scott flew straight over, sat by his hospital bed, and told him, "You're still coming to France with us. You'll rehab with the squad every single day. No excuses." Jordie tried to argue he was injured, he'd just be baggage. Scott shut him down hard, said, "The team needs you even if you never play a minute. Your voice, your energy, that's worth more than 30 minutes of some random guy." So Jordie went, trained every session on one leg, watched from the sideline as his brother captained the All Blacks to the final, and when Scott lifted that runners-up medal with tears in his eyes, the first person he looked for in the crowd was Jordie, because even in defeat they share everything. Watch them warm up together before any match and you'll see the little things. Scott always checks Jordie's strapping, makes sure it's tight enough. Jordie always taps Scott twice on the chest just before they run out, a habit they've had since under 19 trials, it means I've got you, it means don't die out there, it means everything without a single word, and when the final whistle goes, win, lose, or draw, they're always the first two to find each other on the field, foreheads pressed together, eyes closed. For 3 seconds just breathing the same air, because no matter what just happened out there, they're still the same two kids from the Taranaki farm who only ever needed each other to feel like they could take on the world. So next time someone tries to sell you a story about rivalry or jealousy between Jordie and Scott Barrett, just laugh, because you know better. You've seen the shove that turns into a hug, the insult that ends in a grin, the hospital visits, the silent taps on the chest, the promises made without words. That bond isn't undeniable because it's perfect, it's undeniable because it's real, forged in 1,000 fights, survived 1,000,000 miles of distance, and still growing stronger every single day too. Brothers, one heartbeat, that's the Barrett way, and Rugby is lucky to have them. If that story fired you up, do not forget to smash the subscribe button and hit the bell, because All Sports Updates brings you the real stories behind the game every single week. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. Jordie and Scott aren't going anywhere, and neither are we. See you in the next one. Peace.